Oh my God, that's the craziest thing I have ever heard. Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. Yes, smash the like button if you love me. Subscribe if you're new. Please have your say, and a very warm welcome to Thursday's edition of the DC Universe Daily. Oh my God, this is the craziest rumor I've ever heard for the Flash movie. So listen very, very carefully, everyone. Please attend attentively, please. So listen to this, right? So Casey Walsh, the scooper who really hates the Snyderverse, is saying that they're getting rid of all the mentions of the Snyderverse in the Flash movie, but that's not it. That's not the crazy part, everyone. At the end of the movie, Barry Allen wakes up in George Clooney's Batman universe. I'm not saying this is true, right? I'm just saying this is a rumor. So he wakes up in George Clooney's Batman universe and he gets arrested. I mean, surely this is a new thing. Surely if this is true, and I'm not necessarily believing this BS, but it could be so ridiculous, it could be true. This could be so Warner Brothers, shouldn't it? You know, couldn't it? Let's be honest about it. It's insane. So, if James Gunn's done this, think about what he's done here. The Flash gets arrested. Think about it. Think about the actor and the real life antics that they've been doing. Think about it, right? If this is true, and what we don't know, even if this is true, and it happens at the end of the movie, you know, is that the very end of the movie? Is that the last bit that we see? He wakes up in George Clooney's Batman universe. We get a cameo of George Clooney's Batman. Seeing George's Batman isn't a problem to me. I'm a big George Clooney fan, a very, very talented man, and a good guy as well. Not the best Batman, but I really like him. That's not a problem. And I don't even have a problem with this shit, because think about it. If he doesn't just wake up in this universe, get arrested, then flash away to the main timeline, because let's be honest, there's no way George Clooney's Batman universe is going to be the James Gunn, the brand new James Gunn DC universe. Is it? Is he going to be the main Batman? No way. Would he be crazy enough to do this? Look, I think we have to say no. So unless Barry is just there for a split second, gets arrested and goes back to the main timeline, which will be the new James Gunn timeline, he's going to be trapped in this universe, which means this is confirmation, basically, if this is true, and as highly unlikely as that is. I find this whole situation utterly, utterly hilarious, and I can't even take it seriously. I mean, it's funny. It's funny at this point, isn't it? Because this rumour came from this Abdul guy, should I say his name properly, who's a Snyderverse fan, right? He was saying this months ago, and we said, no way is George Clooney cameoing in the Flash movie. Didn't James Gunn even say it wasn't happening? I don't know. But anyway, Casey Walsh is a scooper. Now, like all scoopers, they get things right and things wrong. I don't like Casey Walsh. I've been blocked by Casey Walsh. Yeah, Mick, you're blocked by everyone. I know I'm a controversial guy. It's fun, though. But basically, right, let's just take Casey Walsh at his word. That Barry Allen, at the end of this movie, arrives into George Clooney's Batman universe, gets arrested, and that's that. That's the end of the movie. They're saying it's at the end of the movie, right? So, if it's at the end of the movie, and that's it, that's the last bit that we see, that means Ezra Miller is going to be stuck in this universe, and that'll be the last time we see him. It means that James Gunn is replacing him as the Flash. Maybe we'll get a new actor playing Barry, but maybe they'll go, you know, for a Wally West or another version of the Flash, so they can say, well, he's kind of the Flash, but you'll never see him again. He's the Barry Allen Flash, but you'll never see him again. Because if this is true, surely it's bye-bye Ezra Miller as the Flash. Now, apparently, this leaked out from a recent test screening. Now, I'm surprised that there's been another test screening, considering they're actually going to be showing this at CinemaCon next Tuesday. Now, we don't know when this test screening was actually viewed, so we don't know about that. And so, look, normally I'd say to you, guys, girls, and everybody else, no matter how you identify as, this is bullshit. There's no way they'd be dumb enough to do this. But if I take a step back and think, is this such a bad thing, seeing George Clooney's Batman? Is it a bad thing if Ezra gets stuck in this universe? Of course, as I say, there's another scenario. He wakes up here, he gets arrested, then goes back to his timeline. But that might not be what's going on here, because I don't think Casey Walsh has clarified it properly. Because, of course, it's much more interesting to say, oh, Barry Allen wakes up in George Clooney's Batman universe and gets arrested. That's all we've been told. Is that it? Is that the end of the movie? Is that how it finishes? I mean, come on, everyone. This is funny. This is hilarious. I want us to have a bit of fun with this today because it's a crazy situation. This film is being talked about a lot as a classic movie. And maybe you, the audience, will feel it's a classic movie so much that it might make a lot of money. Think about that for a minute. I don't know what's more embarrassing, if this movie flops or is successful and they literally trap Ezra Miller in George Clooney's Batman universe. I don't know what's worse. Because surely, imagine, right? Ezra Miller's Flash movie makes $2 billion. I'm not suggesting for a minute it will, but we've talked about this before. And you don't use anything. You don't use Sasha Calle as Supergirl. You don't use Michael Keaton as the Batman. Let's be honest. The reason this film's going to make so much money, if it is going to make money, is because of Michael Keaton's Batman and Ben Affleck's Batman. Right? Two elements we're not going to see again in the new DC universe. So if this film makes money, but they're not using the star of the film, who's in every freaking scene, that's insane. But now we talk about the other side of it, where Ezra Miller has behaved, allegedly, his conduct has been absolutely despicable. Now, what's interesting here, because there's lots of people in Hollywood who misbehave badly, but we never hear about it, right? There could be actors we absolutely adore. We think they're the perfect people, but actually they're absolute arseholes in reality, but we don't know they're arseholes. So Ezra Miller's sins are there for everybody to see. And the public are demanding this guy is removed and not rewarded for their actions. So if this is coming out, very interesting, this is coming out, and surely this wasn't the actual ending. Well, I can tell you actually. I'm a bit cheeky there, trying to mislead you, because of course I know. Originally, this sequence wasn't in the movie. If this is even true for now, right? I saw one of the early test screenings of the Flash movie. There was no George Clooney cameo. There was no Barry Allen waking up in George Clooney's Batman universe. I can assure you, you know what happens. You've read the Reddit leaks. You know as well as I do. But if you want to go away, if you don't want to be spoiled, I'll tell you what happens at the end of the movie. He comes in his new timeline. He's shocked to see Sasha's Supergirl there and Michael Keaton's Batman. What are you guys doing here? What are you still doing here? We don't know. Right? And then, Jason Momoa's Aquaman is half cut and Barry's helping him up. That's, and I won't go into it deeper, but that's the kind of thing that happens at the end of the movie, right? Is in this new timeline, Sasha Calle's Supergirl's there, and Michael Keaton's Batman's there. Now that's changed already. Michael Keaton's Batman won't be there anymore because James Gunn is bringing in a new Batman, right? And so there's this so this is what Casey Walsh is saying, that now, unlike the test screening that I saw, there's no post-credit scene with Ben Affleck's Batman crying for help from being locked in another timeline in an Elseworld to Barry Allen. No, that's gone, right? So now we've got an ending of Barry Allen not returning to the main timeline, unless George Clooney's Batman universe is the new timeline, right? Which, as I say, I very much doubt. And so, to me, it sounds like this is a way of getting rid of Ezra Miller. Unless, as I say, he gets arrested, speeds off and goes back to the main timeline. I don't know, because Casey Walsh isn't spilling about that. So look, it's insane. It's an absolutely insane situation. I've never heard of, this is the most ridiculous rumour I've ever heard. And as soon as I heard KC say this, right, Casey has me blocked, but other people reiterated this to me, because my feed is full of people who can give me information through their tweets. That's the whole point of being on Twitter. So I can come on here and I'm informed. You know what I said yesterday and the day before and the day before that? Being informed about what you're talking about is very, very important. That's why we did a special video about maybe Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom being shelved by Zaslav and Discovery. That is a realistic situation they're discussing right now. This is a studio that allegedly owes Paramount $52 million for broadcasting South Park. Unpaid fees, allegedly. You really trust this company to give you a great DC studios, great DC content? Do you trust them? £52 million they owe. And I'm hearing this is just a kick in the ash. Basically, apparently they owe loads of people money. So you trust these people with DC. You actually think, you're going to get a DC universe. You actually think this thing's going to happen and last. When they're so desperate, how can you trust them, right? Forget selling Snyderverse to Netflix. Sell DC to Netflix. Sell DC to anyone else. Because these people are desperate for money. As I say, it's a very desperate company. So when I hear something like this, that the Flash wakes up in George Clooney's Batman universe and we have a George Clooney cameo, which, as I say, I love George. And I wasn't offended by his Batman movie. I enjoyed it. I thought it was okay. I sat there with friends in the cinema and I had a good time with it. Of course, it's flawed. It's problematic. He's not the best Batman. He should never have been playing Batman. But back then, George was a big deal, so he got the role. He did okay. He did his best. I think he was a better Bruce Wayne than he was Batman. Fair enough. It's a very, very light, campy movie. But I'm never going to shit on George, whatever he does. Because I love George. I think George is a great guy. And he's never done anything, he's never been disrespectful to people. He's never been disrespectful to the fans, and I don't think fans should be disrespectful to George. And I think you shouldn't be angry about hearing about this cameo, because I think it's fun. Now, George has denied this, but, of course, it's supposed to be a surprise. But this is the problem. How can we move forward as a DC Studios and fans when we're getting everything leaked like this, if it's true? I think it's so crazy, it must be true. Who makes up shit like this? And we'll soon find out if this is fact or fiction, of course. But I'm just stunned. And I'm so stunned, I think this is so crazy that it must be true. It must be. Because as I say, who makes this shit up? But it's insane. It's insane because it's looking like Ezra Miller is done as the Flash. That's the scenario it's looking like. Not only that, this is James Gunn's idea, everyone, because this wasn't in the movie originally, if this is true. And who knows if it's true. Now, Casey Walsh, I think, is a pretty reliable scooper. He's one of the names that come up. Now, he's very hateful towards Snyderverse fans, and he says things purposely sometimes. This could be a load of shit. Of course it could. It's so ridiculous. So ridiculous. So we'll find out if it's true. I think we may find out if it's true or not when people get to see the movie at CinemaCon next Tuesday, because there's going to be leaks and I'm going to be all over this. And if there are any leaks, you'll find out first here on Movies TV Mad and the DC Universe Daily. This is why this show is here for, to inform you, and so we can talk about stuff, and so I can tell you how I'm thinking about the news in the DC Universe. That's the point. But it's a crazy rumour, and I'd love to know in the comments down below what you actually think about this, because it's tickled me. It's tickled me, because it's one of those things, you're minding your own business, then all of a sudden you hear shit like this. It's absolutely insane. It's something you don't expect. That Barry Allen wakes up in George Clooney's Batman universe. That's fucking nuts as far as I'm concerned. But it's so WB, it's so insane, and it's a cameo we didn't expect. Now, I don't think George Clooney should be embarrassed by his Batman performance. He did his best. At the end of the day, the movie was a flop. It didn't make much money. It's fair enough. I mean, Shazam! Fury of the Gods made less money than other films that will be deemed worse movies. Morbius made more money or brought in more money than Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Isn't that insane? I think, and this is a controversial thing to say, I enjoyed Morbius more than I did Shazam! Fury of the Gods. That should get me a few unsubscriptions and unfollows on Twitter. I don't care. Just saying it how it is. Shazam! Fury of the Gods was a disaster financially. Am I surprised? Yes, I am. I'm surprised. I didn't expect it to make very much. I expected it to come in at around, the lower end of 300 million, like the first movie did, right? I at least expected that. But people really didn't turn up for this movie. And that's insane to me. That's insane. But if you're going to keep on underestimating your audience, if you're going to insult your audience like the director did, like some of these actors did, spitting your dummy out on Twitter because people don't like your movies. Why do people have to shit on movies, right? That's what we get. Why do people shit on movies? That's what we hear from directors, producers, actors all the time, right? I'm not a wealthy man, but I like to help people less fortunate than myself. So I work with certain charities, children's charities, just people who are having trouble eating and, looking after their own health and themselves. I try and do the best that I can. If that means I have to eat pasta for a week, then I have to eat pasta for a week. That's fine. I'm not a perfect dude. I'm a very flawed human being. I've done things that I'm ashamed of. I've said things that I'm ashamed of. I'm not perfect, but I try my best to be better. And when I see some of the poverty and hunger around the world, working with these charities, when I go onto Twitter and I see famous people, directors, producers, actors, celebrities, complaining about their customers and about their lives and how bad their lives are because some dude on Twitter said they didn't like them, right? It angers me because I see the suffering in the real world. Ordinary people. You're rich. You can go home and swim in a fucking jacuzzi and eat whatever you want. There's people suffering in this world. This is why I don't like New Hollywood. This is why I make fun of them on Twitter. That's why you see the laughing emoji quote tweets all the time. Because if I go deep into how I really feel, I'm going to get banned. So the laughing emoji is all I can do without getting into trouble. Because it's insane. These people don't live in the real fucking world. If we don't like your movies, right, we don't have to like your movies. And that's it. Because basically, you are the mouldy cheese that's taken back to the manager in the supermarket. And if the manager gets offended because we complained about the mouldy cheese, that's illogical, right? But this is what DC's been doing, making mouldy cheese. Phase 4 of the MCU, mouldy cheese, right? We have every right to complain about mouldy cheese. And I mean, fucking hell, The Mandalorian Season 3 is the biggest load of mouldy cheese I've ever fucking seen. And I know we're talking about DC here, but let me just divert to that, right? Because I don't have the time to make a separate video about it, right? So the Boba Fett series should never have happened. All they had to do is use the storyline in that series, Put it in Mando season 3. Have Boba and Mando working together. And then at the end of the season, Grogu and Mando reunite. So we get all that stuff with Luke and Grogu from the Boba Fett series, because we wouldn't have done that series right in the finale. And then the big emotional decision, will Grogu continue his training, or will he go back with Mando? We could have done all that in the season 3 finale of Mando. And it would have just basically, you take Mando season 3 and you bring in Boba, you do everything you were going to do in the Boba Fett show, because there was no point of a Boba Fett show. Because basically, when I saw Mando and Grogu in Boba Fett, in that Boba Fett series, that's where I saw the red flags. They could have done that whole thing in Mando season 3 and given us another great season. I don't even believe that John and Dave are responsible for it. It's ridiculous. Anyway, back to DC. So that's the rumour. That Barry Allen wakes up in George Clooney's Batman universe and he gets arrested. That's so James Gunn, isn't it? Yeah. You can certainly see the funny side. Anyway, so earlier this week, I had read on multiple occasions that the Russos said they'd really like to direct Brave and the Bold, the Batman movie from James Gunn's brand new DC universe. They've now said that they never said that, and they wouldn't touch a Batman movie. They would never do a Batman movie in James Gunn's universe. So that's very interesting. So that's another couple of elite creatives who are saying we wouldn't touch this stuff with a barge pole. Ben Affleck said it. There's a couple of A24 directors who have turned Gunn down as well to direct the DC movie. So I appreciate the fact that he's going after some really talented people, but also he's getting kicked back. So what does that say? Do they not like the scripts? Do they want to do their own thing? Well, listen, at the end of the day, the Russos have got their hands full over at Netflix. I think they're very happy there because they've got freedom. They wouldn't have freedom at DC Studios and DC Universe. They would have to do what James Gunn wanted them to do. And they've been there, they've done that with the MCU. Why do you think they left the MCU? Because they wanted to do their own thing. They wanted to be free, creatively free. So, yeah, one moment we're hearing they said, look, we would love to direct the DC Universe movie. I don't think they're necessarily saying they wouldn't direct a DC Universe movie, but I think they're certainly saying that, we wouldn't do a Batman movie, which is interesting. Why wouldn't they want to do that Batman movie? So, has a script been written? Has it been delivered? So, it'll be interesting. Now, it's very interesting because there is a very respected journalist on Twitter who seems to be hinting that he knows who's going to be playing Superman in Superman Legacy. Now, it's not a heavy hint. Maybe it's not even about that. But he had a picture, he had a gif of Superman flying. That's it. And this is the guy who throws hints out. I'm telling you, James Gunn knows who's going to play Superman. And he's been saying, we haven't got into the casting process yet. I don't believe you. James Gunn knows who's going to be playing Superman. Of course, this scooper could be talking about Henry Cavill's Superman. Maybe he has some news for him. Because apparently, at this big SnyderCon 2 event, which I think is happening in just under a week's time or whenever it is, apparently Henry Cavill has some big news, which is interesting. But it might not be Superman news. Maybe he's going to be in Rebel Moon. Maybe he's going to be in Rebel Moon 2. Maybe he's going to be in Rebel Moon 3. We don't know. But apparently, Cavill has a big announcement. Now, we've been here before because we were told that he was going to turn up at San Diego Comic-Con last year. Deadline told us that, to announce his DC future, and it never happened. So, yeah, and this is coming from Geekosity. Yeah, just to remind you, Geekosity, who say a lot of shit. They say they get everything right, but I don't agree with that. I don't think Geekosity are really a platform to listen to. They're great entertainment. They say a lot of funny things. But we will see. And so, yes, I do think that James Gunn knows who his Superman is, and I think we are coming to the time when we're going to find that out. Now, at the moment, he's promoting Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, so I wouldn't expect it until the marketing drive and campaign is over for that film. Now, it's being released sometime in May, I think mid-May, is it, or something like that. So I think once that's finally over, I'll be happy when that's over, that promotion tour, because then he's done with the MCU and it's all about DC, and then I think we're going to start really seeing him push DC Universe, because even though we're not getting a DC Universe movie till Superman Legacy in 2025, I think he'll start building and teasing it on social media from now, from after the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 marketing. So yes, I do think he knows who's going to be playing his Superman, and I don't feel he's going to do a big audition call. I don't know if that's how he'll spend things. I think he knows. I think he knows. He has an idea who's going to be his Superman. And as usual, these things could end up being utterly controversial. For me, as long as he looks like Superman, right? I'll be fine. You know what I mean, right? As long as he looks like Superman. You understand the Kal-El Superman. Of course, is he going to be using the Kal-El Superman? Is he using another version of Superman? Is he using Superboy? We don't know. But we're going to find out. By the way, I think Superboy will be in this universe. I said yesterday, I think this DC universe, this franchise will be very traditional. It will take characters and be very traditional with those characters. I think that's one thing he's certainly going to do. Now, all creatives put their own spin on things, and that's okay. They put their own personality into these things, but he better be careful about how much of his own personality he puts into Superman, because that might not end up too well. But yeah, it's all very experimental to me. It's all very strange in a way. And you know the concerns I have over him working on a Superman project, really him running DC in general, and just looking at Warner Brothers Discovery, that they owe money, that they're in debt, that they're making some very, very odd decisions. So I think nobody can blame me for being a little bit dubious about David Zaslav, James Gunn, Peter Safran. We've been here before. So I don't particularly trust these people. I don't dislike James Gunn. I don't dislike him as a creative. But I can see some red flags, which I've been talking about for a very long time. So that's when a creative has to, prove the detractors like me wrong and give us the greatest Superman movie ever. Because basically, for James Gunn to pull this off, he's got to do the opposite to what he's done on his other projects. And that's the honest truth here. Because this is Superman. And as fun as Superman can be, and there can be humour, of course there can, this is Superman. This is a character that Superman fans take seriously. We enjoyed Superman the movie, Superman 2, Superman 3 to a lesser extent. We don't really think Superman 4 is a great film, but we can still have fun with it, looking at it from a certain angle. Superman Returns is one of those divisive movies. Some like it, some don't. Man of Steel, BVS, Basically, there's lots of different versions of live-action Superman. But Superman is at a stage now where it's crying out for an adaptation that everyone can join in and enjoy. It can't be an adaptation just for one side of the fandom. It has to be something that brings everyone together. This is the responsibility that James Gunn has now. And if he fails to do that, as I said a long time ago, I don't think we'll see a live-action Superman for a very long time. And you may as well just keep Superman and Lois with Tyler going over on the CW or HBO Max, or Max, apologies. So this is a very big deal. It's a big deal that Superman Legacy is the first DC Universe project, so it has to work. This is the opportunity of a lifetime. He's now in charge, James, of a whole universe. He's in charge of developing a movie about one of the most famous superheroes ever. The first superhero. Right? Big responsibility. And it's up to him. He can direct, he can write, he's good at those things. He has to prove to the world that he has range to his creativity. Because as I say, this is Superman. Now, Richard Donner proved that he had variety to his creativity because he went from the Omen to doing Superman the movie. And he made a lovely family movie. So we'll see. Can James Gunn do it? He really has no other choice but to make one of the most perfect CBMs of all time. This has been Thursday's edition of the DC Universe Daily with me, Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss this beautiful perfection. And I'll see you again in the next video. Until I see you again, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen.